Genuinely, how is this not a bigger movie? This is my straight, raw, off the cuffs, just watched this about 30 seconds ago. Had to take out the recorder and give my first initial thoughts and reviews of this movie called The Fix. This was crazy. Hands down, I can say though, this is one of the best. I think this is the best movie that I've seen in this 2025. This 2 months, 2026. It's 2026. This is the best movie that I've seen this 2026. This movie was insane. The implication of what I got out of this movie the most was a lesson. What I took from this movie. You have, and this isn't just big corporate greed. Like, that's not the movie. That is the movie, but that's not the movie. The dude, the CEO of this Aram company, the company that's providing the citizens with this air, with the pill that they can use to repel the toxins and breathe. Because in this post-apocalyptic, not even post-apocalyptic, maybe even near future world, that the air has gotten so toxic that the humans can't even breathe it in. And this CEO pretty much is like, oh, the human race has done enough damage. It's only natural that the select should be able to live now, because it's only going to be the select who's going to be able to live, only the select who can get their hands on this arum or this pill that they can use to live. But his perception and his justification is exactly why that type of person and maybe even that caliber, that whole class of people should not be able to make that decisions, and they're the parasites that should be cut out of that equation if it came down to who is supposed to survive. Cause just listen to this man's justifications, the education they got, the books they've read. Already you're smelling elitism, classism, BS. That's your limited perception. That's the scope of who you think should be able to live. And you want to talk about parasites who don't give back to humanity? Humans are parasites. Humans don't give. The people responsible for the planet's condition in the first place are those shareholders that they were talking about, the ones that are getting the drug, the corporate greed, the top. In our world right now, there's like 10 companies responsible of 1/3 of the pollution, and those are the people that the drugs are supposed to be going to? That's pretty much what this dude was saying. He's saying the same parasites that mess the earth up is who the air is supposed to be going to. Because where are the parasites? The poor people who consume the least by numbers. If you're under the poverty line, you physically cannot consume as much as these billionaires and these CEOs of these companies that are destroying the planet. They are literally mining and harvesting the earth's resources without replenishing, releasing these gases into the air just to line their pockets. They need more of this. They need more money. They have to be number one. They can't just be satisfied providing their country supply. No, they gotta supply the whole world. This globalization stuff. So these are the people who should have access to the air. The real parasites. Even us on individual levels, if you want to go there. Us driving our cars every day, that spraying the aerosol, not saying that's cool, but just if you take us and compare us to the billionaires who are rocking around the world in their private jets, spewing more emissions than we will with our aerosols in our cars, will spew in an entire year, in an entire plane ride, an entire day of their lives, or an entire month of our lives. But we're the parasites. The lower class, we are the parasites. That is just absolutely rich coming from somebody like this. And don't get me wrong, his company was trying to help, but he also thinks he can play God? Even in the way that he made the drug. He made the drug from harvesting these dragonflies and decimated their population. That is parasitic right there in the nature. There's no doubt that there was a big rush to make these drugs. Obviously, people were dying. People were still dying throughout the show. You knew that the way that y'all were harvesting these dragonflies were not going to be sustained. But they pretty much decimated the population anyways. So the implications of him saying that, rich. And then I'm going to get into the second half of the movie. This is the spoiler part, pretty much. This from this point on, this is a spoiler. So if you haven't seen The Fix, go ahead. Do yourself a favor and watch the movie. Pretty much at the end, old girl who took the drug pretty much started turning into a dragonfly almost. I mean, we didn't get a concrete answer on exactly what was in that drug, but pretty much changed her whole DNA. They weren't even human anymore. Which makes sense though. We unnaturally got ourselves into this position. So logically, it would only make sense for us to have to adapt, change somehow to get out of it. I would not be against that drug in any sort of fashion. I think people should have the choice to choose exactly what they were advocating for. And I can just see if this was a thing. Religious people would lose their shit. Oh, this is straying from God. I can already hear it. Because they're not human anymore. They're not completely human anymore. Girl, like, pretty much turned into a dragonfly by the end of the movie. But these same people saying, like, oh, we shouldn't do this, straying from God, those same dumb-ass people don't believe in stuff like global warming. Oh, God would never destroy the earth again. Oh, people are dropping by the millions. And they will still be spewing the same ridiculous rhetoric. But that was just a hypothetical that I was thinking about while I was watching the movie. Because this actually seems like a realistic thing that could happen. And that might have to happen. Will happen. I mean, it seems really out there. But as stated, if these big companies keep messing with our air in the planet, it's either doomsday or adapt. But looking at this movie, moving over into the tropes aspects of it all. Because as we know, in these future movies, a lot of the time, darker skinned people just don't exist, period. Star Wars. Unless there's like one. I think this movie did okay when it came to that. There was a pale skinned woman who was the main character, but I really liked her character, and I liked even more how she got her superpower. She was like the hero, the savior a little bit, but she got the powers by attempting to get high on some drugs that she didn't even know. So that's like some in character stuff for me right there. Like she's a model, you know. Her mom passed away, took her own life, so. I got down with her character. I did. I liked it. That being said, it was messed up what her friend and her boyfriend had did to her early in the movie. But I don't really blame her. Like, I liked that they didn't make the girl just her token best friend. Like, that's kind of that's the energy it was kind of giving. It kind of give that her friend Gina, she was tired of kind of being that token for not necessarily a token, just you know, it seemed like the main character was kind of like possessive or just really clingy, you know, and I don't entirely, don't get me wrong, it was messed up. They definitely should have told that girl. They shouldn't have not have went behind that girl's back. But I get it though. At the same time, I get it. Oh, Tully was a little. Tully died within the first whatever of the movie. Spoilers again. Spoilers. Yeah, that was a trope right there. Darker skinned dude died in the first whatever of the movie. They really didn't have any more darker skinned characters too, unless they were kind of background. I mean, at least they were there, but they were kind of background. They did have another darker skinned woman, and she did her thing. She was cool. So ultimately, it wasn't horrible. It just wasn't that great either though. When it came to the tropes and the representation. Ultimately though, I'm giving this movie a 10 out of 10. That's how good I think this movie is. And the crazy thing is, it was free on YouTube. I don't even think this movie was released in theaters. Like, there was no buzz around this. This came out in 2024. And I'm not surprised. Disappointed, but not surprised. It's a thing. It's a thing. Like, that's why we need to, if people claim to be so tired with the slop or the garbage that they're putting out, Disney's theatrical releases, DreamWorks, then find other projects like this one that are actually good media. This is a perfect example of not a super big budget. And I'm going to look up the budget right now, actually. $30 million. And the movie looked crisp. Like, I'm telling you, the special effects were on point. It was a movie with actual color. It was lively. It wasn't one of these dark, dingy, in the cave, in ye olden days movies. This was future. And speaking of the setting in the future, I liked how some aspects were kind of really futurized. Like, they had like these clear looking phones, right? And then some other aspects were kind of like they were still driving cars. And that's realistic to me. The things that are allowed to advance are usually things that can be commodified easily, such as phones. However, switching vehicles, like switching from cars, trucks, etc. to like something, for example, that hovers or any other alternative, pretty much threatens the money. It threatens old money. Cars and gas are huge businesses. So it's only natural that it wouldn't be allowed to evolve and have people take money away from these. Even something like electrical vehicles aren't really the showstopper people think they are yet. Hopefully that can be changed very soon. But this concludes my review of The Fix. Great movie. And I sincerely hope there's a sequel if they can do it right. There's always that worry of, you know, a lot of people nail it on the first movie, but sequels are hard sometimes for some reason. But this is definitely a movie that I can see deserving a sequel. But it's also not incomplete. It's also not an incomplete movie. Into the Spider-Verse. To me, a good movie can be complete by itself without needing a sequel, but also could be open to the possibility of a sequel. But that's my take on it. Watch The Fix.